The broken pillar of the wing jags from the clotted shoulder. The wing trails like a banner in defeat. No more to use the sky forever, but live with famine and pain a few days. Cat nor coyote will shorten the week of waiting for death. There is game without talons. He stands under the oak bush and waits the lame feet of salvation. At night he remembers freedom and flies in a dream. The dawns ruin it. He is strong, and pain is worse to the strong. Incapacity is worse. The curs of the day come and torment him at distance. No one but death the Redeemer will humble that head, the intrepid readiness, the terrible eyes. The wild God of the world is sometimes merciful to those that ask mercy, not often to the arrogant. You do not know him, you communal people, or you have forgotten him. Intemperate and savage, the hawk remembers him. Beautiful and wild, the hawks, and men that are dying remember him. I'd sooner, accept the penalties, kill a man than a hawk. But the great red-tail had nothing left but unable misery from the bone too shattered for mending, the wing that trailed under his talons when he moved. We had fed him 6 weeks. I gave him freedom. He wandered over the foreland hill and returned in the evening, asking for death, not like a beggar, still-eyed with the old implacable arrogance. I gave him the lead gift in the twilight. What fell was relaxed, owl-downy, soft feminine feathers. But what soared, the fierce rush, the night herons by the flooded river cried fear at its rising before it was quite unsheathed from reality. Joy is a trick in the air. Pleasure is merely contemptible, the dangled carrot the ass follows to market or precipice. But limitary pain, the rock under the tower and the hewn coping that takes thunder at the head of the turret, terrible and real. Therefore, a mindless dervish carving himself with knives will seem to have conquered the world. The world's God is treacherous and full of unreason, a torturer, but also the only foundation and the only fountain. Who fights him eats his own flesh and perishes of hunger. Who hides in the grave to escape him is dead. Who enters the Indian recession to escape him is dead. Who falls in love with the God is washed clean of death desired and of death dreaded. He has joy, but joy is a trick in the air, and pleasure, but pleasure is contemptible, and peace, and is based on solider than pain. He has broken boundaries a little, and that will estrange him. He is monstrous, but not to the measure of the God. But I, having told you, however, I suppose that few in the world have energy to hear effectively, have paid my birth dues, am quits with the people. Some lucky day each November, great waves awake and are drawn like smoking mountains bright from the west, and come and cover the cliff with white violent cleanness. Then suddenly the old granite forgets half a year's filth. The orange peel, eggshells, papers, pieces of clothing, the clots of dung in corners of the rock, and used sheaths that make light love safe in the evenings, all the droppings of the summer idlers washed off in a winter ecstasy. I think this cumbered continent envies its cliff then. But all seasons the earth, in her childlike prophetic sleep, keeps dreaming of the bath of a storm that prepares up the long coast of the future to scour more than her sea lines. The city's gone down, the people fewer, and the hawks more numerous, the river's mouth to source pure, when the two-footed mammal, being some ways one of the nobler animals, regains the dignity of room, the value of rareness. I chose the bed downstairs by the sea window for a good deathbed when we built the house. It is ready, waiting, unused unless by some guest in a 12-month who hardly suspects its latter purpose. I often regard it with neither dislike nor desire, rather with both, so equalled that they kill each other and a crystalline interest remains alone. We are safe to finish what we have to finish, and then it will sound rather like music when the patient demon behind the screen of sea, rock and sky thumps with his staff and calls thrice, "Come, Jeffers." Here is a symbol in which many high tragic thoughts watch their own eyes. This grey rock, standing tall on the headland where the sea wind lets no tree grow, earthquake-proved and signatured by ages of storms, on its peak a falcon has perched. I think here is your emblem to hang in the future sky, not the cross, not the hive, but this, bright power, dark peace, fierce consciousness joined with final disinterestedness, life with calm death, the falcon's realist eyes and act married to the massive mysticism of stone, which failure cannot cast down, nor success make proud. These grand and fatal movements toward death, the grandeur of the mass makes pity a fool, the tearing pity for the atoms of the mass, the persons, the victims, makes it seem monstrous to admire the tragic beauty they build. It is beautiful as a river flowing or a slowly gathering glacier on a high mountain rock face, bound to plough down a forest, or as frost in November, the gold and flaming death dance for leaves, or a girl in the night of her spent maidenhood, bleeding and kissing. I would burn my right hand in a slow fire to change the future. I should do foolishly. The beauty of modern man is not in the persons, but in the disastrous rhythm, the heavy and mobile masses, the dance of the dream-led masses down the dark mountain. No bitterness. Our ancestors did it. They were only ignorant and hopeful. They wanted freedom, but wealth too. Their children will learn to hope for a Caesar. Or rather, for we are not Aquiline Romans, but soft, mixed colonists. Some kindly Sicilian tyrant who'll keep poverty in Carthage off until the Romans arrive. We are easy to manage, a gregarious people, full of sentiment, clever at mechanics, and we love our luxuries. I hate my verses, every line, every word. O pale and brittle pencils, ever to try one grass blade's curve, or the throat of one bird that clings to twig, ruffled against white sky. O cracked and twilight mirrors, ever to catch one colour, one glinting flash of the splendour of things. Unlucky hunter, O bullets of wax, the lion beauty, the wild swan wings, the storm of the wings. This wild swan of a world is no hunter's game. Better bullets than yours would miss the white breast. Better mirrors than yours would crack in the flame. Does it matter whether you hate yourself? At least love your eyes that can see, your mind that can hear the music, the thunder of the wings. Love the wild swan. I've changed my ways a little. I cannot now run with you in the evenings along the shore, except in a kind of dream. And you, if you dream a moment, you see me there. So leave a while the poor marks on the front door where I used to scratch to go out or in, and you'd soon open. Leave on the kitchen floor the marks of my drinking pan. I cannot lie by your fire as I used to do on the warm stone, nor at the foot of your bed. No, all the nights through I lie alone. But your kind thought has laid me less than 6 feet outside your window, where firelight so often plays, and where you sit to read, and I fear often grieving for me. Every night your lamplight lies on my place. You, man and woman, live so long, it is hard to think of you ever dying. A little dog would get tired living so long. I hope that when you are lying under the ground like me, your lives will appear as good and joyful as mine. No, dears, that's too much hope. You are not so well cared for as I have been, and never have known the passionate, undivided fidelities that I knew. Your minds are perhaps too active, too many-sided. But to me you were true. You were never masters, but friends. I was your friend. I loved you well, and was loved. Deep love endures to the end, and far past the end. If this is my end, I am not lonely. I am not afraid. I am still yours. Yesterday morning, enormous, the moon hung low on the ocean, round and yellow rose in the glow of dawn. The night herons, flapping home, wore dawn on their wings. Today, black is the ocean, black and sulphur the sky, and white seas leap. I honestly do not know which day is more beautiful. I know that tomorrow, or next year, or in 20 years I shall not see these things. And it does not matter. It does not hurt. They will be here. And when the whole human race has been, like me, rubbed out, they will still be here. Storms, moon and ocean, dawn and the birds. And I say this, their beauty has more meaning than the whole human race and the race of birds. Stones that rolled in the sea for 1,000 years have climbed the cliff and stand stiff-ranked in the house walls. Hurricane may spit his lungs out, they'll not be moved. They have become conservative. They remember the endless treacheries of ever-sliding water and slimy ambushes along the shore. They'll never again give themselves to the tides and the dreams, the popular drift, the whirlpool progress, but stand steady on their hill, at bay, yes, but unbroken. I have much in common with these old rockheads, old comrades. I too have escaped and stand. I have shared in my time the human illusions, the muddy foolishness, and craving passions. But something 30 years ago pulled me out of the tide wash. I must not even pretend to be one of the people. I must stand here alone with open eyes in the clear air growing old, watching with interest and only a little nausea the cheating shepherds, this time of the demagogues and the docile people, the shifts of power, and pitiless general wars that prepare the fall. But also the enormous unhuman beauty of things. Rock, sea and stars, foolproof and permanent. The birds like yachts in the air, or beating like hearts along the water. The flares of sunset, the peaks of Point Lobos, and here at night the huge waves, my drunken quarrymen, climbing the cliff, hewing out more stones for me to make my house. The old granite stones, those are my people. Hard heads and stiff wits, but faithful, not fools, not chatterers. And the place where they stand today, they will stand also tomorrow. To feel and speak the astonishing beauty of things, earth, stone and water, beast, man and woman, sun, moon and stars, the bloodshot beauty of human nature, its thoughts, frenzies and passions, and unhuman nature, its towering reality. For man's half-dream, man, you might say, is nature dreaming, but rock and water and sky are constant. To feel greatly and understand greatly and express greatly the natural beauty is the sole business of poetry. The rest's diversion. Those holy or noble sentiments, the intricate ideas, the love, lust, longing, reasons, but not the reason. It is no good. Una has died. and I'm left waiting for death, like a leafless tree, waiting for the roots to rot and the trunk to fall. I never thought you would leave me, dear love. I knew you would die sometime. I should die first. But you have died. It is quite natural. Because you loved life, you must die first. And I, who never cared much, live on. Life is cheap these days. We have to compete with Asia. We are cheap as dust, and death is cheap, but not hers. It is a common thing. We die, we cease to exist, and our dear lovers fulfill themselves with sorrow and drunkenness, the quart at midnight and the cups in the morning, or they go seeking a second love. But you and I are at least not ridiculous. September again. The grey grass, the grey sea, the ink-black trees with white-bellied night herons in them, brawling on the boughs at dusk, barking like dogs, and the awful loss. It is a year. She has died, and I have lived for a long year on soft, rotten emotions, vain longing and drunken pity, grief and grey ashes. O child of God, it is not that I am lonely for you. I am lonely. I am mutilated, for you are part of me. But men endure that. I am growing old and my love is gone. No doubt I can live without you, bitterly and well. That's not the cry. My torment is memory, my grief to have seen the banner and beauty of your brave life dragged in the dust down the dim road to death. To have seen you defeated, you who never despaired, passing through weakness and pain to nothing. It is usual, I believe. I stood by. I believe I never failed you. The contemptible thought, whether I failed or not. I am not the one. I was not dying. Is death bitter, my dearest? It is nothing. It is a silence. But dying can be bitter. In this black year, I have thought often of Hungerfield, the man at Horse Creek who fought with death bodily. Said the witness, throat for throat, fury against fury in the dark, and conquered him. If I had had the courage and the hope, or the pure rage, I should be now death's captive, no doubt, not conqueror. I should be with you, my dearest, in the hollow darkness where nothing hurts. I should not remember your silver-backed hand mirror you asked me for, and sat up in bed to gaze in it, to see your face a little changed. You were still beautiful, but not as you'd been, a falcon. You said nothing. You sighed and laid down the glass, and I made a dog smile over a tearing heart, saying that you looked well. The lies, the faithless, hopeless, unbelieved lies, while you lay dying. For these reasons, I wish to make verses again, to drug memory, to make it sleep for a moment. Never fear, I shall not forget you until I am with you. The dead indeed forget all things, and when I speak to you, it is only play-acting and self-indulgence. You cannot hear me. You do not exist, dearest. Here is the poem, dearest. You will never read it nor hear it. You were more beautiful than a hawk flying. You were more faithful and a lion heart like this rough hero Hungerfield. But the ashes have fallen and the flame has gone up. Nothing human remains. You are earth and air. You are in the beauty of the ocean and the great streaming triumphs of sundown. You are alive and well in the tender young grass, rejoicing when soft rain falls at night, and the little rosy fleeced clouds that float on the dawn. I shall be with you presently.